Georgio celebrity check. Tune in now, folks, we need to talk about this. Tune in now, folks, we need to talk about this. Tune in now, folks, we need to talk about this. Georgio says it's time for Georgio celebrity check. Tune in now, folks, we need to talk about this. Georgio says it's time for Georgio celebrity check.
Right, everyone, welcome. It's an all new episode. It's the Georgio Says live show. Oh, I'm just stunned. I feel like I'm late to some of these bits of information, but I'm going to share something with you guys. I just shared it on my Instagram. It's wild. Anyways, you guys don't know what I'm talking about. We're here to talk about Justin Baldoni again. Yes, I know, but there's a lot of chatter around this whole story. I just want to check really quick. My moderator, Jeff, who is so graciously in charge of making sure the chat is alive and well, can you please just tell me that you can hear me loud and clear? I just want to make sure, because I do know sometimes my mic goes down and it's hard to hear, specifically if you're an audio listener. So just want to check in with you guys and make sure. But anyways, we're here to talk about Justin Baldoni. And if you didn't know, Justin and Scarlett actually teamed up pretty much right after Justin finished filming It Ends With Us. So that's really interesting to me, and I'm going to dive into that a little bit with you guys. But don't worry, I'm definitely going to recap Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. The reunion part 1 aired last night. I gave my take in my recap on Instagram and TikTok. Listen, I said what I said. I'm going to say it again here. I don't want to say I don't care. I do care what everyone else has to say about it. I'm reading the comments. I understand how it looks. But when you take a step back, I feel like there's a lot of cracks in what Bronwyn was bringing to this reunion and what she was trying to do in terms of creating this narrative. Anyways, I'm going to dive into that, of course. But let's just jump right into the show.
Twist on the Georgio Says podcast. We need to talk about. So hit that play, stay in the know. Georgio's here to steal the show. On the Georgio Says podcast, we need to talk about this. We need to talk about this.
All right, my friends, thank you so much for everyone who's live with me. I really appreciate it. I do this live show Monday through Friday, every day, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But don't worry, if you can't catch me at 4 p.m., I get it. You can always catch the replay. It's here on my YouTube channel, always for you. It's also available for audio listening purposes. You can find my podcast anywhere you listen to your podcasts. But yeah, we've got to talk about a few things regarding this Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively situation. Look, things are getting ugly. And I'm also hearing that there's more video footage that will be released. I've heard that TMZ has their hands on it. It has not been released, at least as of now, as I'm live. You guys will let me know if something drops, hopefully. But, you know, while I was looking through stuff and checking in to see, like, you know, what else is happening, I stumbled upon a Reddit that, and listen, if I'm late to this, please, you know, call me out. But I feel like I haven't really heard too many people bring this up. Scarlett Johansson has had her directorial debut in her movie that is called, here, let me bring this up. So the reason why I bring this up is because I think this is interesting for a couple of reasons. Is first, okay, I know I'm diving right into this because I think this is really like crazy. Wait. Yes. Sorry guys. I will Leo, I did see that video. I actually posted it in one of my videos yesterday, towards the tail end of it. Yes. But anyhow, so diving right on into this, this tweet from Wayfarer Studios was released on February 23rd of 2024, okay? So almost a year ago at this point. Now, I don't know exactly where this movie is in the scheme of it's not been released yet. There's no release date, but there's already credits, there's an IMDb, so clearly the movie has been filmed, I would assume at this point. But nonetheless, Wayfarer Studios was one of the production companies that worked on this movie. So that made my ears go up because I was like, well, wait, when did they stop filming It Ends With Us? Right? Because everything's starting to feel a little jumbled with timelines and such. So I'm like, okay, so I go back into the documents, the legal documents, and go through all that. So I see that the movie finished filming officially on February 9th of 2024. And it's 2 weeks later that this tweet goes out announcing, basically that they're working with Scarlett on this movie. Now, if you don't know, I'm not going to assume that you do. Scarlett and Ryan used to be married, okay? There was word on the town that Blake and Ryan, when they were filming the Green Lantern movie, that they kind of, they fell for each other. And shortly after the movie was wrapped, they both kind of ended up, coincidentally leaving their respective partners because Blake at the time was dating Penn Badgley. So coincidentally, they ended up splitting from their respective partners, and then, voila, they're together. And there was a lot of rumors that there was cheating on the set and that they were both having affairs. That was never proven, but I think silently people kind of sided with Scarlett in this whole thing. But what's interesting even more is that if that's the case, I wonder, because obviously the announcement of this probably went out when it did, which was February 23rd. But I would imagine that the talks and the deal around this partnership probably happened before, or it was leading up to that before it was finalized. So I'm thinking in my brain, like, wait, did Ryan or Blake or both hear that, Justin is going to be working with Scarlett on this movie and it's her directorial debut and blah, blah, blah? Like, did this add some sort of layer to this whole thing? Did Scarlett and Justin exchange notes? Like, because at this point, I would think that Justin knew that he absolutely needed to keep record of every single thing, which is why I think he's able to come so fluidly with full context receipts, video, so, but then I'm thinking like, what was that conversation like? Could you imagine Scarlett and Justin and they're exchanging their notes? It's very interesting. Also the timing of it as well, because I don't know. It's just all it's all twisted, and there's so much like baked into all of this, which, by the way, I know a lot of people are still finding ways to blindly side with Blake, even though there's so much out here at this point that is kind of slowly discrediting a lot of her claims. And look, we don't know, again, I said this yesterday, we don't know what they're sitting on Blake's side. But what it does feel like is that they are playing into this 2010 model of, playing the media against the public as if we're so, we're dumb or we don't get how things work anymore. Things have shifted. And I think we've seen other celebrities or public figures try their hand at this early 2000s, 2010, you know, PR model that they, used then that worked because we didn't have as much access to information, or people just didn't do that, right? Now we have TikTok, and we know that everyone goes on deep dives, and you can't put anything past many people these days. So I think this strategic way of how they've come about trying to take Justin down, I think people are seeing past the veil, and I think people are tired of this like gaslighting that's happening, where someone can just come out and make all these serious accusations against someone, and that's supposed to just be accepted without any evidence whatsoever. And then when people are defending themselves, then it's like it's like even worse. Like, good example of this is Blake's team coming out and saying, yeah, that video proves our point exactly. It's like, did you guys watch the video, guy? Like, I feel like it's I don't know. It's wackadoodle time. That's what I think it is. Because I think people are really, either two things are happening. Either her team is so godly, like deathly afraid of the powers that be, that are Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, okay, that they are just doing whatever they're being told, because perhaps, let's give them the benefit. Let's just say that their team has come to them and said, look, this is not stacking up very well for you guys. So maybe, and they're like, no, that is exactly what happened. Look at the video. Do you see how he's trying to caress my face while we film this love montage scene? Did I read the book? No, I didn't read the book, but I do want to change the script every single time. And then where's Colleen Hoover? Has anyone heard from her? She like disappeared. I wonder why. Do you know why? Why would she just disappear? That's interesting. Anyways, that's not the only thing that's impacting the situation in my mind, because now, we also had Simple Favor 2 that has also been filmed and done, and we still have not heard, like any type of word on when that's coming out. But people were really excited for this, right? Because people loved the first one. Did it get shelved? What's going on? Well, coincidentally, January 14th, which was just 9 days ago, People Magazine put out an article that said everything to know about A Simple Favor 2. A Simple Favor 2 is bringing back Blake Lively, Anna Kendrick, and more. They just won't tell us when. They just won't tell us when. But you know what? Don't anticipate this movie to come to theaters, because it's just going to bypass theaters and go straight to Prime Video. So basically, you're just going to be able to stream it whenever they decide they're going to release this movie. But the reason why this article even came to be was because the film's director, I guess, was tired of all the speculation and rumors that the movie had been shelved indefinitely. What I think has happened is, obviously they've shelved it for the moment, because no one knows what the heck's going on. This legal battle is not going to help promote Simple Favor 2. It's going to take over the movie. It's like going to be another press disaster. And after the last press junket that, we had to watch Blake Lively spray her dry shampoo all the way through, didn't end well for her. And now look, it's just, justice for Anna Kendrick. She held her head high. She could have come out and been like, you know what? We know she didn't like working with Blake. We know that. You don't have to say it out loud, Anna Kendrick. We know. We get it. Now we really get it. The more and more things come out, the more and more we're starting to get it. So this movie is now being impacted. Anna Kendrick, her moment is now being put on pause. Anna does still get paid. This is not what I mean. I mean it more from the like, this is also her moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, Anna Kendrick deserves to have a moment for a movie that she worked hard on as well, and the rest of the cast as well. It's not just Anna Kendrick, but I'm just saying in this situation, it just feels like Blake has caused a storm not only for herself, but for Justin, the production company. You know, you're sorry. It's just, they need to come with something else. All they're doing is coming out and saying this, that, and the other. This just proves our point. No, it actually doesn't. I just, I don't know. I think this whole thing is just gonna blow up, and not in a good way. And yes, will Justin's, career take a hit maybe for a little bit? If he proves himself to be innocent in all of this, this is not only going to damage Blake's career, it's also probably going to make her end up being in a position where no one's really going to want to work with her on any level, because these are serious things to just throw out there because perhaps you didn't get what you wanted. And maybe in the past you were used to throwing that type of privilege around. So to me, it feels very much, let's run to daddy whenever we don't get our way. Let's scream the loudest so people just give up and give us what we want. Which, when you read through all the documents in Justin's lawsuit, you see that he's essentially doing that throughout the entire movie, and even down to this video clip where we see she's talking the entire time, and it's not in character. She's just talking about herself. It's just, she doesn't understand what it seems like. She didn't know that she was acting in this movie. Like, I think she forgot that she didn't meet Justin in a bar and didn't just start slow dancing with him and was like, oh, wait, oh, right. I'm Blake and you're Justin, but like, we're in a movie. Oh my God. Okay. Wow. Now, listen, don't get me wrong. Am I saying it doesn't happen where people get lost in the moment when they're filming these types of scenes, especially when you have two attractive people? Yeah, I'm sure it happens, but I'm not even gonna say that the theories around her feeling like she was falling for, maybe something did happen. I also heard someone say that Justin's wife probably told him along the way, you better keep all these receipts, which I thought was also interesting and probably true, because she probably was like, well, she sounds like she might come back and bite you in the booty. You might want to keep all those text messages. And drop them in this Dropbox folder so you don't lose them. No, I think, and also it's telling that their team wants to put a gag order on Justin's lawyer. So, like, what are you scared of? You brought this public first. Now you want to say, no, that's enough of that. You can't talk anymore. No, that's not how this works. You went to the New York Times and you made this public. You didn't even officially file anything. This is what's so mind-blowing about them saying, oh, no. He needs to stop talking. Give me a break. Give me a break. It's not looking good for her. I'm sorry. And look, the reference keeps popping up now more than ever. The whole text that she sent where she referred to herself as Khaleesi and Ryan and Taylor are her dragons. Well, Khaleesi burns herself to nothing in the end. And it's kind of funny that that's kind of what's manifesting here, this weird thing. But also, one of your dragons doesn't want to be claimed in this. Taylor's like scratching her head like, this smells like losing billionaire status. Nope. No thanks. Listen. I'm just saying. If this teaches anything to anyone, it's that keep everything. If it feels off, keep the receipts, screenshot everything, don't delete, don't if video's involved, don't delete the raw footage, keep everything. That's what I've learned. And I was already doing that, but that makes me want to triple down on that mentality now because it's like you really just don't know. I mean, if this, like I said, if this comes out to be false, do you know how much damage that does for the next person that comes forward with any allegation like that? Do you think that she actually cares about that consequence though? No, I don't think she does. So no shocker there. All right, let's go to the comments. Let's see what everyone's saying. I feel it. I can feel it in the chat. Leo says, this is such a good take. Scarlett is the best. I'm like, all this drama and you don't have it. Starts with us to drop. LOL. Yes, it's crazy. And yes, I do believe Jams Cam, they definitely cheated. That's just too coincidental. And listen, I think it happens more often than not on movie sets. That's why I could never be with someone that's in like movies like that where they're like getting it on because it would be hard. Which is probably what's going on with Ryan. He's probably like, you know what? You're not going to work on any more movies if you keep doing this type of stuff, doing all this flirting and stuff. That's how we met. You need to stay home and take care of all 4 of these babies. That's why, if you notice, like for 4 years straight, it was like every time you turn around, Blake Lively was pregnant again. It's like, I'm wondering if that was for a reason, because Ryan probably wants to make sure she doesn't get too big and really successful and out, power move him or whatever the case is. Shout out to our moderator, Jeff, who totally forgot Blake was in that movie, The Simple Favor. Sounds like a dig towards Blake to me, Jeff. At this point, I'll take it. Jams Cam also says she deleted her post about Blake, talking about Colleen. See, here's the thing. This is why I called her out in the very beginning of this, because when it came down to you believing the minor girl who basically was being sexually harassed by your adult son who was asking for inappropriate photos from a minor teenage girl that he was talking to on Snapchat, allegedly, anyways, but then you deal with it privately and then don't make any waves about it because God forbid her son's future be destroyed over a stupid decision he made. And she had a strong talking to him about it and he'll never do it again. So she quickly jumps on Blake's train, probably saw that things were coming out that, oh, wait, Justin wasn't lying. Right, because Justin was actually the one who believed in your story to begin with, way before Blake and Ryan had any. And furthermore, Blake didn't even read the book. Why are you, like, does the story mean anything to you, Colleen, or is this just a money grab? People already have mixed messages about how you write about DV to begin with. Justin seemingly, from what we know and what he's presented, seems like he took this movie very seriously. Just saying. Oh boy. I'm just going to put this up here. Every time I even go near this, it's not worth my time. But like, I hope that people see through the smoke and mirrors because you are the company you keep. So if like I said, if this comes out and she's made this up, this is good luck. And for anyone who still continues to be a huge fan and believes in all that after, if she gets called out for lying, let's just say, because she hasn't, nothing has gone super far yet. It feels like it, but it hasn't. So if she comes out to be a liar, how do you reason with that? With someone with that big of a platform, with that much power, how can you reason with that? That is such a huge irresponsibility to this whole movement, believe all women, that you tout around when it's convenient, but you don't believe all women. I went through that at the very beginning too. You don't. Your PR person her company was funded by Weinstein. You didn't even really speak out when Weinstein was found guilty of all those horrific things. You just said, that wasn't my experience, but yes, believe all women. Like, no, no. But you want everyone to believe you because you went to a media publication that, let's be real, you went to New York Times because you put two and two together. You're like, I'm going to, claim sexual harassment, go to New York Times, have them publish this because this is the same, publication that took down Weinstein. And so you connect those dots and, oh, we're good. He's going to be out of here in no time. Except, no. I don't know. We will keep watching. We will keep updating. But as far as I'm concerned, this is one of many explosive comebacks that I think we're going to see as this continues to unfold. But don't worry, because it ends in court. Coverage remains here on the channel. So as long as things keep popping up, I will keep updating you guys and giving you my take on the situation. But we've got to talk about Real Housewives of Salt Lake City because it was their part 1 reunion last night. And there was a lot actually that came up that I didn't think was going to come up, honestly, in part 1. But, after watching part 1, I took a step back and looked at it from the entirety of this whole season. And I did have a take. And I know a lot of people don't agree with it, but hopefully I'll expand a little bit more on my reasoning about why I had the take I have and why, frankly, I still feel that way because I'm not changing my stance on it because I truly do feel like there's a bit of bullshit going on. But anyways, let's cut to the chase. Let's just jump into this reunion recap because boy, oh boy, I can't believe this is ending.
It's time for Georgio's Real Housewives episode recap. We need to talk about this. Let's get into this episode recap.
All right. So, look. I know here's two things that I just want to preface before I get into anything because I don't want this to be an ongoing thing with the people like in my Instagram comments right now that are, just going on this Lisa Barlow hate train. Listen, you don't like her. You don't like her. We all have our least favorites. We have our favorites. I just feel like, okay, it feels like Lisa's an easy target for a number of reasons, okay? And I noticed last night that all of a sudden, conveniently, now we're switching narratives and adding something to a situation that didn't happen, frankly, but we're utilizing the camera time in hopes that this is what gets pushed out. So watching Reunion Part 1 last night, I looked at, first of all, who's coming for Lisa. Let's start with Whitney. Because what's really interesting here is that, again, you have Whitney at the end of the couch, but she was swimming, even in this moment, to try to anchor in her storyline through this prism thing and was so dead set on using this whole thing to take Lisa Barlow down. This was going to be the smoking gun moment for her. And she really thought that she was going to have this power move on the show. I really do believe that. And a couple things led me to think that. Firstly, when you see the scene of her talking to Adam, the podcaster, as they called him, on the phone in the Range Rover, she was delighted. She was so happy. You could just tell, like, oh, we got it. We got the edit. We got the cut. We got the vocals. We got the soundbite. We're going to get Lisa. She never supported my healing journey. It's just, so between that, and that's the only thing that she had, by the way, which she never was able to bring any real proof. You know why? Because Dana Wilkie already called it out as the show was the episodes were airing, because she was like, no, I already told Whitney by that point that it wasn't Lisa. Now, Dana seems to think it's someone else on the cast that was putting all that information out to begin with, which I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like that couldn't be the case, but it's not Lisa Barlow. First of all, for Lisa to be every season, now we're at the 5th season, where she is the main center of everyone's fury for whatever reason. You know, it's interesting because if she were, let's just say she even tried her hand at doing half the things that people said that she did by creating fake accounts to go, you know, bash people, or working with certain accounts, or feeding information. I can say, hand to God, she has access to so many people that if she wanted to, she could do a lot more damage than going and creating some random Instagram account just to put some random information out there that no one's really going to see. That's not something that she would do. But also, it's not in her nature. She doesn't have to. People get pissed off at her for no reason. People get pissed off at her for talking. People get pissed off at her for essentially being what we wanted her to be. This is the quintessential housewife. It's aspirational to be able to just have a glimpse at someone who could just be able to say, no, I don't fly coach. I haven't since college, and I won't. That, to a lot of people, is like, whoa. But like, yeah, that's what I want to. What do you want? Do you want 17 of the same docile personalities that just have a lot of money but no interesting personality? Like, this is a TV show, so at some point it's like, okay. So it felt a little bit like a stretch to keep going on and on about this. And again, there is, even at the reunion, there's no receipts from Whitney to even say it. You know why? Because Adam never said it was Lisa Barlow. I think you really just wanted that to be the case. What I found astounding was how many people have, you know, his number on speed dial, where you know, because Lisa's like, I don't have his information. She's like, you have his number. And he's like, no, I don't. You all, like, to have people's number. First of all, if you're basing your storyline on the weight of what someone who talks about these shows may find out for you behind the scenes, that doesn't look good for either side. And it didn't work out here, because now you have people bashing the person, the podcaster on the show, because of the situation. So that's why it's never a good idea to get involved like that. And I know, because I've seen people say, oh, it was fine for you to be a storyline on Real Housewives of Orange County. No, I wasn't. I was not the storyline. They used my deep dive that I filmed and put out before they started filming last season, and it went along with the storyline that they were already discussing. To me, that is not the same. I didn't have a phone call with Tamra. I didn't have a phone call with anyone on the cast on camera. Like, it wasn't anything that got triggered from me personally being in communication with a cast member while filming. This is different. Whitney was relying on the information of what I guess at that point was someone she saw as a friend, and it didn't work out in her favor. And we also hear when Lisa discusses, you know, did she go the distance? Did she go the distance? Well, what distance can she go to with it if she's not provided any information at all? Where's the starting point? It's like a shot in the dark. So yeah, this was bullshit. We're grasping at straws. Whitney's definitely got to reacclimate herself to what she's doing here. What story are we telling? This wasn't it. And rather than trying to spend your whole season trying to take down one person, why not try to come up with something else? Work on other dynamics that are happening in this group. Because you're gonna fade into the background to the point where no one's even gonna remember you were on the show. And I do feel she has more in her than that. So I don't know what's going on there. All I know is when we get to Bronwyn, okay, this is where a lot of people did not like my take because maybe it came off harsh, but again, it was I try to keep it quick as quick as I can on the short form recaps. So I get it. But I did mean what I said. This whole bringing Bronwyn's daughter up on the show and the situation with, the father of Gwen and essentially the grandparents not wanting anything to do with Gwen once they found out, right? Because Bronwyn told us the story, and obviously we all sympathize with that because that's terrible. That in no way am I justifying her treatment by those people if in fact that's what happened, because again, this is her side of it, and I'm not saying that I didn't believe it, but then when you start to learn that Lisa Barlow and Bronwyn were more social friends than real sisterhood type friends, as they, like Lisa said on the show, we didn't share vulnerable, deep things with each other. So it was a social friendship. And I think a lot of people call people their friends that in the reality of it all, you guys are just social friends, right? You don't really know all those deep things. You don't spend that much time diving into each other's lives. So it just feels like Bronwyn wanted this information. I'm not going to stutter. She wanted this information out, and she felt like it would feel more organic because Lisa knows them, meaning the grandparents. And I do think that she wanted this on camera. I do. And now she's trying to spin it because why? Because I think Father Todd got real mad because if you listened last night, he said that Gwen was off limits. And I can guarantee you when he agreed to do this show with her and support her, because it was very clear he realized a third of the way through, he was like, this is a huge mistake. You are acting like a crazy person. Meanwhile, in her head, this was her moment. She had been waiting to be on this show. She was so excited. She got all her looks together, and I'm not knocking any of them because I love a woman who loves fashion, okay? But at the same time, this is very deceitful, in my opinion, because you brought your daughter up. You had control over this. So I get it. A lot of people are like, well, Lisa shouldn't have said anything about anything. It's like, no, that doesn't work that way. If you're going on a show and you start discussing things with your cast member who was your friend socially outside of the show, but there's producers around, what do you think is going to happen at this point? But then in the same breath, you're telling us that you asked producers to cut things out of that conversation you had with Lisa as to not give away any clues to who this person is or who this family is, right? I can respect that. Well, then why not scrap the whole entire conversation? That's where I'm calling bullshit on Bronwyn, because you're going to go in and mean to tell me that you only went in and asked them to cut out the things that would let someone know who the person is, but Gwen was to never be brought up on the show for any reason. But now it's Lisa's fault, and now you're gonna skin her alive because of what she understood from what she learned, because again, that's why she says she doesn't win either way. She knows this family, she empathizes with their loss, but it's also sad what Bronwyn had to go through with that whole situation. But Lisa's point was, Bronwyn, they were under the impression that you had miscarried. Well, this is the big thing now, that by the end of the reunion, it's now being spun into Lisa insinuated Bronwyn had a miscarriage, and they're leading really hard with that. And it's like, wait a minute, what timeline did we get thrown off of and onto here? Because we're watching this play back. That's not what was said in the after show. She was explaining it. First of all, she gave context that they filmed the after show before the show even starts to air. So it wasn't like the after show was filmed after we saw the episode. That's not how they do those. So like it to me came off like we're all going to just use Lisa as the throwaway. And Bronwyn, I think, also was using Lisa as a throwaway here because she probably got some of her ass handed to her for having Gwen be a part of the show to this level when it was clear that Father Todd was absolutely not for that. Right? So what happened? What happened, Bronwyn? Also, let's talk about the necklace and the earrings of it all. You want to come on this show and you want to showcase your wealth. We get it. Your husband invented the Palm Pilot. You can Google that and figure out how much that man must be worth. We don't need to see you pretend to look at $4 million diamonds to validate that. Like, I don't. Like, and to me, I feel like that is just tacky at this point to like see someone shopping for something extravagant. Like, to me, it's kind of like, I don't even care anymore. I don't think it matters. Like, because it's not real. I even said this, I think, after that episode where we see her looking at the diamond necklace. I'm like, she didn't buy that. They didn't buy that. Todd didn't throw his card down for some $4 million that easily on a necklace. Do you think that people that are wealthy like Todd and have amassed the type of success and wealth that they have got it by blowing $4 million a pop on some diamonds? No. So I already had called kind of bullshit on this necklace thing. But then when it got brought up at the reunion, we find out that the sales associate, what was her name? I don't want to repeat her name because I feel like she's probably long been fired at this point. I know she's getting a lot of hate on her side. So I can't think of the name of the sales associate that reached out to Lisa and let her know out of frustration. Because again, this is the thing about things like this. So now everyone's directing it at like, why would this woman even be reaching out to Lisa Barlow? Well, Lisa Barlow clearly has worked with this woman in the past in some capacity, meaning she was a shopper of hers. She shopped with her. She met her through, I don't know. This woman clearly was triggered by something she was seeing on the show regarding Bronwyn, perhaps the necklace and the earrings of it all, where she was prompted to then reach out to Lisa and let her know she didn't buy any necklace or earrings from us. Not at all. In fact, she didn't even wire the money for the pieces that she said that she was interested in getting, which weren't those exact pieces. They were different. Like, I think the earrings she said were like hoops and like whatnot. This woman's claiming there was no wire for any of that. And Lisa was just putting it out there because, you know, it's so easy for everyone to throw all these things out about Lisa. But when she mentions this now, it's like, oh, that woman, that is unprofessional. Yeah, it absolutely is. But when you piss off the wrong person, they're going to speak up. And I feel like just be honest. Just be honest about that. It's okay that you didn't drop $4 million on a diamond necklace just for the shits and giggles of it. It's okay. And trust me, if it hadn't been the sales associate girl, the internet has now become private CIA detectives. They would have found out somehow. You know, it just came out quicker because the sales associate was like, I'm going to mention it all. She was like, she didn't buy anything. They didn't spend a dime. So I'm not saying the entire, vibe that Bronwyn's giving is bullshit. I don't. I actually like Bronwyn. I think she's great as a housewife. I think she's great on this particular cast. I think she jumped right in. I've said all those things. But let's call bullshit, Bronwyn. You brought this Gwen thing up because you wanted to take a hit at those grandparents for what they did to you and how they treated you when they shunned you, when you let them know that you were pregnant. And this was the moment to do it. And it backfired because it got too loose and just too out there. And Father Todd was like, absolutely the F not, bitch. Reel it in, And again, with the back and forth, like, you talked about your marriage the way you did, not because you're just being snarky and trying to make yourself the butt of the joke first. No, you're doing that as a reaction because you really have to walk on eggshells around that man, and you know it. You know that he calls the shots. He's doing you a solid. He's supporting you here. But listen, I don't think that she's being completely transparent. You know, she played off this whole thing last night like, it's my first time. Yeah, you're right. It is your first time filming this show. That does not mean, though, that you didn't watch the show, that you haven't watched other franchises. Because like I said in my recap as well, I think that she's inspired by different housewives from different franchises based on the reaction she's giving on whatever's going on. I don't think it's horrible. I get that it comes with the territory. At this point, to get a new housewife and hope that they've never seen or heard of the show until they started filming it is just like, it's not going to happen. So let's not play dumb, Bronwyn. You knew exactly what was going to happen if you had any sort of conversation about anything where producers were going to be around. So I stand on that because I think that, I know for me, if my child was going to be off limits because that is what was agreed upon, and I mean off limits, then that child would not have existed on the show. And that is in her right. That is part of, she can add that in as a clause if she wanted to. You didn't. So now you're going to pin this on Lisa Barlow, and you're going to try to make her look like the evil, woman that just went and just tore up your whole family, and look what she's done to look what you've done to your daughter. You didn't need to bring this public. And like I said, you could have easily, when you asked the editors and the producers to clip out those details that might let someone figure out who the father in the family is, you could have then said, no, I said my daughter is off limits. This is not to air at all. Because the show's not about kids. It's not about any of their kids. And I really, 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 really wish it would stop coming up. We should not have had Lisa and Angie arguing about their respective children. It should not have been brought up at all. We've got so much more to dive into, except for Whitney. But we've got so much more to dive into. We don't need to bring the children into it. It also, I don't like referencing or recapping anything that involves the children because they're not on the show like that. They're background. They don't need to be part of a storyline. It's just enough. And Bronwyn, with this whole thing, and now at the end of it, you've got the husbands coming out, and Todd's like going off and saying Lisa insinuated that she had a miscarriage. She didn't, though. She actually didn't. So it's weird to me. Like, it's on tape. It's going to be okay. Listen, I know I get called out all the time. Lisa Barlow stan. Listen, do I like Lisa Barlow? No, I don't. I love her. I think she's a great housewife. I love what she brings to the show. I think she's real. I don't agree with everything that she says and does, but like, that's just it. But it's when I see stuff like that, just seems like a clear takedown, or people just didn't have anything else going on this year. So let's find these stupid things to try to pin against people that we don't like. Why? Because they're well loved. Because overall, Baby Gorgeous transcends. I mean, I just saw an ad that she did for Kerastase. I mean, you can't not like her. And if you don't like her, then maybe, when I say don't like her, there's a lot of people that have this like vitriol for her, which I think is always weird, because how do you have that much energy to hate someone you don't really actually know? But nonetheless, there is a lot of that, and I get it. People sympathize with Bronwyn's situation. I do too. But I don't believe that Lisa was the one that was just going to out this for the cameras. No. And I believe Lisa checked Bronwyn on Instagram regarding this very thing. I think she called her out and said, no, you were the one that actually were dying to get this out on camera, which then is like, makes sense. Yeah, because she wanted to take a dig at the grandparents. But, listen, we have, 2 more parts to this reunion? And we already got a lot of the like heated moments that I thought was going to come in like part 2 or part 3, but seems like we have a lot to unpack for 2 more parts. I'm just really sad that the season's ending so soon. I would have loved to have at least, okay, to be fair, 4 more episodes would have been totally doable. I don't believe that we couldn't have gotten 4 more episodes and been highly entertained. Cuz it's just also, I think this is the last season I want to see a monologue situation from Heather at the finale dinner. We're going to have to switch this up because this is going to get very old very quickly if we keep doing this this template for the reunion. I'm sorry, for the finale episodes. One thing I also wanted to point out in the reunion, they briefly go into Heather and how she's changed ever since she lost weight. And, you know, look, I'm not Heather's biggest fan, but I don't dislike her. I actually think she's a good, solid human being. I think she's on a journey, and I think, you know, we've watched her kind of take that journey on. And no, I don't agree with a lot of the things that she's done and said, but I do think she is allowed at a chance to achieve happiness. And I think that the weight loss and everything has kind of just made her feel like she's got something that maybe, you know, years ago she felt like wasn't within reach. And that's commendable. And I'm glad Mary spoke up there and said that, because, you know, just because even if she's not the same Heather she was 5 years ago, that's not a bad thing. We're here to evolve. So we're not supposed to be the same person we were. If we are, then that could be a problem. But okay, well, this is turning into a spiritual TED Talk. That's not where we're going. I'm just saying I felt for Heather because I felt like she was trying to defend herself a little bit last night in regards to like the weight loss thing. And I think we need to stop judging people on how they're losing weight or what they do with their bodies. Let's just leave that off the table completely, because I don't think it's anyone's business. If you're an adult and you're paying for it and you're living with it and that's what you want, if you like it, I love it. You know? What's wrong with that? If it's not harming them, if it's not putting them in a dangerous situation, why does it need to be a topic? Why is that the first thing out of everyone's mouth? Who cares how someone lost the weight? Outside of it being an unhealthy way, obviously. But I'm saying, like, what route they take, what does it matter? I don't know. So anyways, shout out to Heather. She looked great. I think she, you know, I feel like Heather's growing into her confidence. I think a lot of it was inflated because it needed to be, right? We've all been there, fake it till you make it. But I think now she's settling into that confidence and being, you know, fully good in her skin. I think we're starting to see that. We didn't really get much out of Meredith outside of the situation where she was calling Angie a backup dancer, which this is getting old too, the Meredith references to Angie when Jen Shaw was around, because like that's so like 3 seasons ago. And if anything, it makes Meredith sound like a hater because she's all the way at the end of the couch and Angie's first seat. So I think Angie earned her position. She's done a fantastic job being on this show. I know I sound biased here too, because she's Greek, so she's my sister in my head. But I do love me some Angie K. So I think she's done phenomenal. But outside of that, there wasn't really much that came out of the episode other than, you know, obviously Whitney defending her curated, affordable jewelry line, which again, no one would have cared about this if she would have just come out and explained it the way she explained it last night, which is first thing that came to my mind. Like, why didn't you just say that to begin with, Whitney? Why did you do the whole song and dance and try to take Lisa down? Like, just say what you said last night. That would have been completely understandable. So, anyhow. All right, let me jump back into these comments before I close the episode out. Okay, let's see. Alexander Rogers, hello. Thank you for joining me. Says, how did Bronwyn not know that would be checked up on since she did so much research on the show? This is the thing I think people don't realize, Alexander. I think as much as people study the show or they think they've studied the show and they think they understand how it works, even someone like me, I can sit here all the day long and speculate and give you my my informed process on what I think happens during these situations when they film these shows based on people I know that are either producer or they've worked on the show or they're on the show. And knowing all of that, you might throw me right into the mix of something in real time, like film it, be in part of an episode, let's say, and film something. That's not the same as knowing what you think you may think around what goes into it. Being in it is quite different. And I think for Bronwyn, I think she thought maybe she could navigate this in a way that she would be able to control it and still, you know, in the end, seemingly take the frustration out on Lisa Barlow, because it's clear that, you know, if Bronwyn's been watching, she knows just how easy it is to trigger Lisa into reacting, which is essentially what everyone tries to do on that show. But, you know, I think there's more to come, and clearly Lisa's not shy to share any further receipts and context. So you know that these two, they're already going at it, have been going at it all morning on their socials. Yeah, I am sad it's ending. So I'll be very sad that we have to wait, what, another year? It seems it'll feel like a whole year is going to go by. So sad. Anyways, listen, I want to thank you guys for joining me today. Everyone in the live chat, thank you so much. If you are watching this video live, make sure to hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. You're missing out. And if you are an audio listener, if you're listening to this on any of the streaming platforms you listen to podcasts, if you could give me a 5-star rating, I would absolutely appreciate that. And for all the new subscribers, welcome. Thank you all for joining me. And for anyone who's watching on the replay crew, I love you just as much. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Tomorrow is Friday, and I'm hoping that I can get someone to join tomorrow that will help open up some more dialogue around what's going on with the Justin and Blake situation. So stay tuned for that. But listen, have a great Thirsty Thursday and stay safe. And until the next episode, guys, I will talk to you on the next one. Bye.
Twist on the Georgio Says podcast. We need to talk about. So hit that play, stay in the know. Georgio's here to steal the show on the Georgio Says podcast. We need to talk about.